they trailed 16-0. Hurts up the middle. Hurts stretching out. Hurts touchdown. Tie ball game in the desert.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of NFL Turf Talk. I am here, your host, Scotty Drowned. You can find me on Twitter at Scotty Drowned, on all social media at Scotty Drowned. As you know, my co-host here, Dylan Davis, the other co-founder of DSM Media, as well here today. We come to you every Sunday morning. I was about to say Saturday. I'm mixing up my days. Every Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're bringing the heat every single Sunday, all the way through football season. So we'll be here, got you covered across the NFL. Me and Dylan with the Turf Talk. But Dylan, happy Sunday morning to you, my friend. I know we've had a long weekend, but how are you doing with the alternative setup there today?
I'm good, dude. I apologize. This looks bad. I got the laptop propped up on a pillow today. Can't go outside. There's people outside. Can't do it at the kitchen table where I did trending in AM this week because there's people there. I can't do it in the living room. So here I am in a corner bedroom with no AC in the Poconos with my laptop on a pillow. So I apologize that, you're looking up at the bottom of my face today. Hopefully my Wi-Fi sticks through. But, yeah, man, it's a fun weekend. I saw you were in Wildwood yesterday. So hope you enjoyed the day.
It was fun, man. Obviously I was new to like the shore when I moved to Philly a couple years ago, and so I've been exploring all the different beaches across the shore. That was definitely the most fun so far.
Yeah, I was going to ask you got a favorite? You got a list? Worst? Any worst?
So I haven't been to enough, I think, to create a list because I need to do like Sea Isle, Ashbury. I think I saw like Avalon, Cape May. So I haven't done any of those yet. So I still got a little bit to get through, and maybe I'll hit some this summer. But Wildwood was nice, man. I like the capability of driving up on the beach and just pulling in there. I think that's awesome. But just a lot more. It was a lot bigger as well compared to some of the other ones.
100%. So, the only downfall to Wildwood's beach, depending where you're at on it, well, basically everywhere, because even in the Crescent and North Wildwood, it's long, dude. It's a long beach compared to like Ocean City or something like that. So
it is. It's like just from the boardwalk to the ocean.
Yeah, bro. Like you better you better be ready to walk.
Bring coolers and shit, bro. It felt like 2 miles.
Yeah. And that's another thing when you get to like Wildwood, Sea Isle, those types of towns. I mean, you're not supposed to drink on the beach technically, but more lenient, whereas like in Ocean City's a dry town, more of a family type of thing. Cape May's more of a relaxed, chill family type of thing. So so make your rounds, dude. Make your rounds this summer.
I gotta find my niche, but no, it was fun and the weekend's been good. We're celebrating my mom's birthday, so happy birthday to moms.
Birthday or happy belated? I apologize.
Yeah, happy belated. But nonetheless, it's been a fun weekend. But now we got the AFC South to get into, Dylan, which is just super exciting.
Yeah, I was looking at my notes for a second, and it went over my head for a second. Very exciting stuff we got today.
It's so funny because we do this to ourselves, and maybe we can do it different in the future. But we save the best for last. So we'll get to the NFC West, the AFC West. Those are the fun divisions. Obviously, the NFC East
Eagles,
for one of the last episodes of the summer. So just bear with us. AFC South, we're going to dig into it. One of the main talking points I want to get into, I know Dylan's interested as well, is Matt Ryan really an upgrade over Carson Wentz and Indy?
Yeah, man.
And I still think Indy's going to be a good team. I think they can be a playoff team. They're probably, in my opinion right now, one of the better teams in this division between them and the Titans. And I'm just interested to see if Matt Ryan could take them to the playoffs versus what Carson Wentz did last year, which is he kind of flopped, and I get that. But we'll get into that. We're going to start with additions, subtractions of each team in the division, just as we always do. Before we do that, just want to make sure everybody, if you're not already subscribed to DSM Media, thanks for tuning in this morning. Tune in every single Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hit that subscribe button. Turn the notifications on. You'll be notified every single time we go live on DSM Media. Turf Talk obviously isn't the only show. You're going to get covered with content the entire week. So definitely make sure you're subscribing, following on social media at DSM_media on Twitter, at DSM Media on TikTok, at DSM.DoSomethingMajor on Instagram, and just search DSM Media on Facebook. You'll find the logo. Make sure you like and follow us on there. We're live on every single social media platform. Let's get into it. Dylan, where should we start first as far as the additions and subtractions? Which team do you want to hear about first?
I got to go Jags, dude, because there's one person that's added to that roster that's not going to be on the playing field between the numbers, and then obviously the bag they gave a certain wide receiver and so on and so forth. So they had a busy offseason.
Phil trying to bring the golf talk in here. Hey, keep that on the fairways to heaven. We're entertaining our NFL guests right now. Nah, Phil's awesome. Happy Sunday morning to you as well, Phil. All right, let's talk about the Jags, and we can hop right into it because it's our guy, right? The guy that brought the trophy to Philly himself, Doug Peterson. Is in Jacksonville somehow with that dismal franchise, but they made some strong moves this offseason. I think they got better, right? So we think so. We look at the list of what they added. They did overpay Christian Kirk. That was like the big story of the offseason. I think he got 4 years, $84 million, something like that.
Yeah, and it set the market, bro. He was like the first wide receiver. Like they screwed the rest of the league.
Oh my goodness! So you add Christian Kirk to the Jags. You add Trayvon Walker. You add Brandon Sheriff. That was probably their best addition, I would say.
Right.
Offensive line. You're talking about there. Never could stay healthy. So that's interesting. Devin Lloyd, linebacker. That's a nice pickup as well. And then Zay Jones, wide receiver from the Las Vegas Raiders. They were also able to bring him in. Some key subtractions. DJ Chark, he went over to Detroit, as you know. Miles Jack, they lost him. I believe he went to Pittsburgh. AJ Cann, offensive guard, and Andrew Norwell starting offensive guard. So they lost some pieces on the offensive line there. Added Brandon Sheriff to kind of mitigate some of those losses. But nonetheless, fully turned over. And then, of course, the addition, Doug Peterson. That is the notable one there. The head coach, he brings experience. He brings championship pedigree.
Well, especially when you talk about the culture that was there last year under Urban Meyer and the absolute disaster that unfolded with the Jags and him. So when you go from him, and I know the way things ended here in Philly, and I think, myself, the honeymoon phase with Doug was over. We were 3 years or so removed from the Super Bowl. And it was time to move on, I think. But that does not mean he won't be a good fit in Jacksonville. He gets to work with another young, rising quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. There are some pieces there offensively that could be fun. So if nothing, I think Doug is just going to bring a culture to that team, that young team that they're going to need. Something they didn't have last year. The Urban Meyer experience was, like I said, a disaster for them. So if nothing else, he's the best all-season acquisition in my mind. Who knows? Maybe it'll be a complete dumpster fire like the way it ended here in 2020 in Philly, but I don't think so. I think he'll have them at least playing some fun football.
I think that's a great point. One, you brought up Urban Meyer, which we don't even need to get into.
No.
He is and what he did last season, but I think it's ridiculous. You talk about Trevor Lawrence, number one pick in the draft, having to work with that, right? But just looking at Doug Peterson and kind of what happened in Philly compared to, what he's walking into in Jacksonville. And, I don't know the full length of his coaching staff down there in Jacksonville right now, who he's brought in, who's around him. I think that was part of the problem after Frank Reich left. You lose Frank Reich on that offensive coordinator position, and Doug Peterson has to fill that void. I think he went the wrong route when he decided to, whether that was him picking his staff or that's, the general manager, Howie Roseman. I don't think Doug Peterson had the right people around him in Philadelphia anymore, because he's a certain style of coach. Like you said, he's a culture setter. So he's a player's guy. He's going to get in good. He's going to do things that are favorable by the player. He wants to build those relationships with the players, which I think is great for a young team like Jacksonville. They need a guy like that that's going to be their back support. But you also have to have the balance with that. And I think that's kind of where Doug kind of fell off here, is just, even though it's the head coach, not everything falls on them. And I think part of that was the reasoning here. We obviously know we had some issues with Carson Wentz, whatever was going on between there. But I'm rooting for Doug Peterson nonetheless. I still think, we'll go through obviously record predictions later, but the divisions that they're up against this year and their schedule isn't very favorable.
Yeah,
I think they got the whole AFC West, if I'm not mistaken, that they're playing.
Yeah,
that's brutal.
That's tough. That's 4 losses. Anyway, no, and I just think the last thing on Doug and the Jags before we move on is it's not totally similar, but I just look, like I said, with the young kind of offensive core around him, with the young quarterback. Now, I know when he came in and they moved Sam Bradford and Carson got promoted year 1 as the starter his rookie year. Now this is Trevor's second year, but he's still nonetheless coming in and he's going to help grow this young, hopefully for the Jags, a budding superstar, which that's why, they went out and got him number 1 last year. So I just think the situation entering his time now to when he entered his time in Philadelphia in 2016 is pretty similar, at least offensively. And they don't have a ton defensively. The Eagles didn't have a ton defensively in 2016. Probably more so than this Jags team does, but we'll see what Doug can do. We'll see what Trevor can do, because that's the biggest question mark right now. But yeah, man, they should, if nothing else, they should be maybe fun offensively.
Yeah, I would agree with that. They should be fun nonetheless. You get guys like Travis Etienne back.
Right, James Robinson.
So that'll help Trevor Lawrence, obviously. And hopefully Christian Kirk can, provide a spark to them on offense. Hopefully he can live up to that contract. But definitely rooting for them. And like you said about Trevor Lawrence, this may as well be another rookie season for him whenever you have to lose your head coach and start over like that. So, next team we want to go to the Texans. Go to Houston.
Yeah, let's get that out of the way. Should have went there first. Should have got rid of that dumpster fire first.
So we know the key subtraction is Deshaun Watson. Now, obviously, he didn't play last year anyway, so it's not necessarily a subtraction from last year. But that was their franchise guy. We knew he was on the way out, and he is certainly gone. And they got a hell of a haul back for it. So kudos to that. But they also lost Justin Reed, safety, Jake Martin, outside linebacker. They also lost Tyrod Taylor, who started some of the games for them last year. So they don't got that veteran presence back there. They're rolling with Davis Mills, which we talked about him last year, I believe, on that Thursday night football game we referenced last weekend against the Panthers with CMC, and that was dismal. But Davis Mills wasn't terrible last year. We'll see. Okay. He's a 3rd-round pick.
He's not terrible. But listen, and I don't have the receipts. I'd have to go back. Maybe I dreamt this or had a nightmare about this. But for some reason, I see a lot of Davis Mills respect and Davis Mills, positivity on Twitter at least. What is happening? Like, he's not awful. He's fine, right? Where does this Davis Mills and with Brandon Cooks? I don't get it, dude. They are a horrible team with a bottom 10 quarterback, and somehow, some way, this dude finds himself getting respected on social media. Out of all the dudes, out of all the talent across all major sports that don't get respect and get trolled and get bashed on social media, Davis Mills gets pushed with positivity. I don't know, dude.
I feel that.
I've seen it. I know I didn't dream it. I've seen the Davis Mills love.
I feel what you're saying, though. Like, you'll sit here and you'll see, and, once again, maybe just bringing this back to even a Lamar Jackson or like a Jalen Hurts, right? Where these guys get just ridiculed. Even Derek Carr, like,
I do it to him. I know I do.
Some of these guys that are teetering between like 10 and 15, right? As far as top 15 quarterbacks in the NFL. These guys get ridiculed, but then you'll see praise for Davis Mills, 3rd-round pick, who's not being counted on to do much this season. It's odd.
I gotta find it. I think after the show, I'm just gonna look up Davis Mills on Twitter and see what comes up because I've seen it on NFL Twitter and it makes 0 sense to me. What's going on, Adam?
Thanks for checking in, buddy. Yeah, man, Davis Mills. I've been seeing it as well. It's interesting. I think part of it is, guys like to just pick on, especially in the fantasy world, guys like to get on this next trend where you can be the guy that called out the low pick. You know what I mean? Like just trying to get ahead of the market. But
I should like the guy. His first name is my last name. I should be pulling for him. But, he's like, it's almost becoming like
last year. I mean,
it's almost like TJ McConnell-ish to me. Like people just want to love him, and I don't get it, dude.
No, it is odd, and I love your point about referencing him against other quarterbacks and the ridicule they receive. It's ridiculous. But
so what else did this bum franchise do this offseason?
So they added Marlon Mack. He's their starting running back this year. They drafted John Mechie III. I like him, wide receiver out of Alabama. Steven Nelson, they picked him up, corner that we had on our roster last year in Philly. Justin Britt, center, that was a nice pickup. Fabian Moreau, Derek Stingley Jr., that was a nice draft pick. They had a solid draft between Derek Stingley and John Mechie. AJ Cann, they picked up that guard that the Jags actually let go. Yeah. And then Cedric Ogbuehi. Excuse my pronunciation. I don't know how to say that. Offensive tackle, though, big offensive tackle pickup. So they tried to bolster their offensive line a little bit for Davis Mills. But nonetheless, that's what we're looking at for the Texans. I would say the best outcome for them this offseason was their draft picks. And then obviously the return they got for Deshaun Watson. That was a boat. Right. So we'll see how that pans out for them. But I don't know. Without a quarterback, it's hard to have a light at the end of the tunnel sometimes. Next, you want to go to Titans or you want to go to Indy? Where we want to go next?
Get the next best team out of this division. That would be the
Titans. All right, so we got the Titans this offseason. They were able to add Robert Woods, Treylon Burks. I mentioned those names first because they need them to replace A.J. Brown. So they brought in 2 wide receivers, hopefully to replace that production. They also released Julio Jones. He didn't do much for them last year anyways. They lost Dante Foreman. He replaced Derrick Henry down the line last year. Janoris Jenkins, Roger Saffold, offensive guard. So they lost some depth on the offensive line. They also brought in Austin Hooper. They didn't add too much, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. They didn't do much.
You might even see Malik Willis play this year.
Yeah, you may see Malik Willis play this year. And I hope too, man. Ryan Tannehill, I like kind of picked up on his little MVP train maybe a year or 2 ago.
What was that? That was last year. What we talk about quarterbacks. Where did that come from?
AJ Brown and Julio Jones. Where? That's where they were expecting. Maybe we were expecting. I don't even remember what I said about Julio Jones last year, honestly. I wasn't expecting much out of him. The rookie Chig might be nice there, small tight end, but wide receiver, talent, and routes. Hey, somebody to keep an eye on for sure. And, the Titans, they did add a little bit of youth there. But I think their biggest thing was the guys that they were able to retain, re-sign. Guys like Harold Landry, they re-signed him to a 5-year extension, their best pass rusher. So they were able to lock a few guys up. But Titans overall, man, I'm biased. I think A.J. Brown, I think the world of A.J. Brown. So I'm going to say the Titans lost this offseason.
Thank you.
But, nonetheless, here we are. Moving on to the Colts. this will kind of guide us into our next segment of conversation. But looking at the Colts additions and subtractions, I'm going to leave the biggest names for last because, like I said, this is going to kind of take us into our next segment. But look at some of the names that they added. So they added Yannick Ngakoue from the Las Vegas Raiders. I believe they traded Rock Ya-Sin for him, I think in a seventh-round pick for Yannick Ngakoue. So they lost Rock Ya-Sin, one of their starting corners. They added Matt Pryor, former Eagle, to the offensive line. Philip Lindsay, he's like their third-string running back now. Stephon Gilmore, nice pickup for them at the corner spot. Built some stability there. They also picked up Nick Foles. So they brought him in, the relationship between he and Frank Reich. And Rodney McLeod, obviously former Eagle, left the Eagles this offseason. I'm definitely rooting for Rodney. Hopefully he can stay healthy there, provide a little bit of help in their secondary. Some of the other names you look at that they lost, or at least they haven't brought them back yet. T.Y. Hilton, I don't know if he's retiring or not. We'll see. Xavier Rhodes is gone. Eric Fisher gone. Zach Pascal gone. We mentioned Marlon Mack earlier, gone. So now we get into the real meat of what the Colts did this offseason, and it's something we can actually talk about here. They added Matt Ryan. They traded Carson Wentz to the Washington Commandos. And and my question to you, Dylan, and my question to everybody out there that's watching right now, is Matt Ryan a legitimate upgrade to Carson Wentz? Because for me, coming out of last season, when I saw the move, it brought up a lot of question marks for me. I get Carson Wentz flop last year at the end of the season. I get the big moments, some of the mistakes he's made. It has to be something deeper than that for me because I look at the production that both of these guys had. There's not much difference, and you can argue that Wentz had better production. So where do you stand with this? What are your thoughts as far as maybe why they made this move? Is it an actual upgrade for them?
So shout out Jason Voorhees. I saw his comment on our Twitter post about it, and it's exactly where I was going to take the conversation. If you're talking about on the field production, no, it's not a major upgrade. I don't think it's an upgrade at all. In fact, I think it might be a slight downgrade. If you look at the numbers last year, yes, Matt Ryan threw for more yards. Matt Ryan threw 20 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. Didn't have a lot of help around him. I get that, but Indy does not have a lot of help in the wide receiver room either. Carson threw 27 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. You mentioned those timely turnovers. Obviously, you go back to the Titans game when he threw 2 horrible interceptions at the end of regulation and overtime, and they lost that game. Or it was whatever he did at the goal line was a huge mistake. But I feel like last year, coming out of what he did in 2020 in Philly, every mistake was magnified to almost an unfair standpoint. He was third best in interceptions last year. And he gets ripped for his turnover issues. When you go to QBR, Matt Ryan had the 21st best QBR. Carson Wentz had the 9th best QBR in the league last year. So on the field, it's not an upgrade. You mentioned it being deeper. It has to be. And I know they lost to Jacksonville, and he didn't play well. But he wasn't the sole reason they lost that game in week 18 last year.
Because how many points did they give up in that game?
To miss the playoffs. Yeah, their defense was horrible, and I believe Jonathan Taylor got almost shut down too after he went off all of last season as the rushing champ. So it wasn't just Wentz's fault in Week 18 against the Jags last year. Still an inexcusable loss, and he's the quarterback.
Yeah.
My thing is it has to be deeper because when you look at the production, there's nothing else to go behind it. When you hear the rumors come out at the end of his time here in Philadelphia, and you hear the way Jim Irsay spoke about him, and at the end of the season, very passive, very dismissive about Carson's future here. When they did pull the trigger to make the move to send him to Washington, he was very subtle jabs at Carson's character and the problems that went on maybe in the locker room and behind the scenes. So if there's leadership issues, which there seems to be, now I know he's already out working with the receivers in Washington, and they seem to like him so far. He's posted on IG. I get it. There seems to be a disconnect somewhere between him and the leadership the last couple of seasons. So Matt Ryan's a clear upgrade in that category. But on the field, no. However, the only thing I'll say is I don't think if it's not an upgrade, it's not a huge downgrade. Like I think Matt Ryan will be productive in Indy.
Right.
So if you combine his production on the field with maybe his character and his leadership, then I think they're going to win the division this year and make the playoffs like they did not do last year under Carson Wentz. So I don't think it's an upgrade, but I don't think it hurts Indianapolis.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's so weird, just looking back at Carson Wentz. And I guess we'll talk about this again. He just can't seem to escape our dialogue here.
No, we got to see him twice now this year.
We got to see him twice now. So he's on the Commandos, and we'll get to talk. I can't not call them that. I can't not do it. But we'll get to talk about him a lot more, obviously, when we break down the NFC East. I don't know. He's a polarizing player, and I get that
100%. And anything on the field, to me, it's Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan. Now, not a great difference, but Carson Wentz is a better quarterback than Matt Ryan is at this point of his career.
He's younger.
When you take the whole package, there is no reason Indy should have missed the playoffs last year and lost that game.
Yeah.
So. And the way the owner spoke, not like a teammate sending a jab, not a coach, a play call. The owner spoke down on him.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Openly. Yeah.
Right. And after year one of losing the trade to Philly, ultimately, they had to swallow their pride and move them because clearly there was a problem.
Yeah. And that's ultimately, I tend to agree with your last statement. We can kind of leave it there.
Yeah.
I think ultimately, with what we've seen over the last few years regarding Carson Wentz, his departure from Philly, now his departure from Indy, what Jim Irsay had to say, the rumors that spiraled out of control here in Philly regarding his leadership, some of the off-the-field stuff. And I can't even begin to imagine what it is that he does that, you know what I mean? From the time of me watching him and watching behind the scenes and watching some of the documentaries about the Eagles with him on the team at those times, I don't see how he can be like this. He sounds like a dickhead, man.
Yeah.
I
know. But he comes off as such a great person. Everything he does for his charities, and when you see how he treats, Gio the podcaster, and like he just seems like such a great guy. And maybe he is. I don't know what goes behind closed doors, but there's a lot of smoke.
Yeah,
that's coming out behind those closed doors. And normally where there's smoke, there's fire.
And I think ultimately this upcoming season for the Colts, every week where there's not a discussion about Carson Wentz, because he is just this polarizing player. It's either you think he's a great quarterback or you think he freaking sucks.
Yeah, which is stupid.
It's stupid. He's probably just a good quarterback.
He's a middle of the pack quarterback right now at this point. Probably top 15, top 16, somewhere in there. But there's a lot of people that'll try to tell you he's bottom 5 and that Davis Mills, they'd rather have Davis Mills over Carson Wentz. That's the stuff I'm talking about. Yeah. That's stupid.
Yeah. And that, as you brought that up about Davis Mills earlier today, there you go.
Right. There's the person. Like,
there you go.
Right.
So, I agree. I think ultimately it could end up working out better for the Colts, just because you don't have to have these conversations about Carson Wentz each and every week. I'm with you there. But that definitely concludes the additions, subtractions for each team, that segment of the show. What we can get into now, my man, we can start getting into the offense, defense, perspectives of each of these rosters.
Yeah, well, why not just keep going on this conversation of passing and these quarterbacks? So I guess that's where we'll start. And we're going to go 4-1 here. In the AFC South. We'll start with our passing attack. At number 4, I had the Houston Texans. I know Brandon Cooks had a very nice year last year. I know they drafted John Mechie. If he's healthy, we'll see. Right. I can't get over the fact that Davis Mills is definitely a bottom 10, if not bottom 6 quarterback in the league right now. So for that reason alone, if you don't have the quarterback, you're going to be number 4 for me. At number 3, this is where things get interesting because the departure of A.J. Brown kills them. I like the Robert Woods edition. I like the Treylon Burks edition. But, man, I got to tell you, I'm not a Ryan Tannehill guy. And I have the Titans at number 3. it's bad. I think losing AJ Brown is that big of a hit to them. I know Robert Woods has had a nice career so far in LA before this move. We'll see what Traylon Burks brings to this team. I know they brought in Austin Hooper. I just think they're going to be a very boring passing attack this year. I think it's going to be back to Derrick Henry 28 to 32 times a game, and Ryan Tannehill is going to throw 19 to 22 passes a game. And I'm not a Ryan Tannehill fan, man. So he's at number 3. At number 2, and the reason that they're number 3 is because I think this team has more upside than them. And Doug Peterson, I think, brings that upside. The way I saw him unlock a little bit of Carson Wentz early on in his career, I think you see Trevor Lawrence take a little bit of a step this year. I know he had his struggles last year. He showed some flashes. Very underwhelming rookie year for him, in my opinion. Coming off what was maybe one of the best prospects coming out of college football in a very long time. It was just kind of underwhelming for me. But as you mentioned earlier, they have 2 good running backs, and Travis Etienne's going to get a lot of balls out of the backfield in the passing game as well. You bring in Christian Kirk. You overpaid him, but it's still an upgrade. You have Marvin Jones Jr., Zay Jones. You bring in Evan Ingram from the Giants. Laviska Shenault's still there. You bolster your offensive line with Brandon Sheriff. I just think that the Jags have more upside, and I think they're going to be more pass-heavy than the Titans as well. So that's why I have the Jags with the edge over the Titans. And then I get to number 1 here, and this is not like a clear-cut number 1 as it should be, but I do think Matt Ryan is the best quarterback in this division. I think they had the best offensive line in this division. Obviously, when you have Jonathan Taylor, I know the Titans have Derrick Henry, but that helps out your passing game as well. And they need help with their skill position players. Don't get me wrong, dude. Like Michael Pittman Jr. is not a number 1 wide receiver for my money. Paris Campbell, cool. Mo Alley Cox, cool. They definitely need help, but they probably have a little bit more than anybody else all around. And Matt Ryan is the best quarterback with the best offensive line. So I'll go Colts number 1.
Yeah, no, I like it. Just to kick mine off, I'm going to agree. Obviously, the Texans at 4. I'm not obviously sold on Davis Mills. It's not that he's the worst quarterback in the league. He might be. I mean, he very well might be. But he's definitely a bottom 10, bottom 5 quarterback in the NFL for my money. And I just can't roll with that. Obviously, I loved Brandon Cooks last year as well. He is somebody who I look at. He needs to get out of there if he really wants to play some real football. We'll really see what
I thought he was going to be moved.
Yeah, I guess he's just a good dude. He wants to stick it through with the Texans, not, and I get it. There's contract implications. You can't force your way out of everywhere. He's been on quite a few teams. So I get it in a sense, but nonetheless, Texans coming in at 4th. That's easy. 3rd, you made a compelling argument for the Jags, and I get the perspective. I am almost leaning that way. I'm going to stick with my original. I'm going to say Jags 3rd, but I'm with you. I am with you on the Jags, and I do agree. I think they have more upside, and there is part of me that does believe exactly what you're telling. And Doug Peterson being able to get into Trevor Lawrence's ear and really, get him on the right track. Trevor Lawrence played under Urban Meyer. That was a fire. Yeah. It was a burning house that he was trying to get out of last year. And just having Doug Peterson, if nothing else, if he doesn't help play calling, if he doesn't help this, that, he at least helps stability and culture, like you mentioned earlier. Right. And I think that's going to be key for him. So I do like what you said, and I agree. DJ Chark is still an upgrade. Evan Ingram, that's a guy, I know he could never stay healthy on the Giants.
Yeah, right.
He's always talented, though.
Yeah.
He's an athletic freak. He can move.
Except when he drops that ball against the
drops. we love those, but he would have some drops. I also like the backup tight end, Dan Arnold. He had some he showed some signs as well. So they got some pieces. I like ETN as well. You added that in on the passing game, which I love. He's a great pass catcher out of the backfield. They got to stay healthy, the running backs. I have the Titans up at number 2. I'm telling you, I was by the thread, like by the skin of their teeth. They made it to number 2, especially after your presentation there, because I lean Trevor Lawrence over Ryan Tannehill. It's as simple as that.
It's tough, man.
And you just know they're going to try to run the ball like 90% of the time. So it's like, what room for passing game is there? I know they'll try to use Traylon Burks in different ways. Robert Woods is a guy that was used. He was a very versatile piece, Swiss Army knife for LA Rams. We'll see how they use him. Basically, giving the nod to the Titans here, just off experience. They have the veteran leadership. Tannehill, more experienced quarterback. He's not the more talented quarterback, though, and we know that. But yeah, I'm going with the Titans number 2 here. You had me thinking there, Dylan. And then, of course, number 1, we got the Indianapolis Colts. I think, once again, I agree with you. Matt Ryan's the best quarterback in the division. I would probably go Matt Ryan, Trevor Lawrence, Ryan Tannehill, and then, whatever, David Mills. But yeah, I'm with you, Colts. The thing you mentioned as well, the weapons. Not a fan. I thought they would at least add like one receiver over the offseason.
Yeah, dude.
They let Zach Pascal go. He was one of their experienced wide receivers, helped in the running game. They allowed T.Y. Hilton. I don't know if he's retiring, but he walked. So you lose a lot of your veterans.
I think they do have to move on from T.Y. Hilton. I think that time is over.
He's always in and out of the lineup.
Here we go. No, the Jags have Evan Ingram. The Titans have Austin Hooper, Jason. But I do think Austin Hooper in Tennessee will help as well. But this is what I'm talking about, man. I can't get behind it. I can't get behind Davis.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I'm just interested in like what makes you jump to the conclusion of that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like why?
Yeah,
maybe I didn't watch a ton of Texans football, and
I don't think a lot of people did. That's my question. Like we didn't.
They got
I
some
didn't watch enough to be
moments,
high
though.
on them. I'm wondering how people watched enough Texans football to be high on them. That's what I'm wondering.
Did you see their new helmets though? Those are fire.
I like those, yeah, and they're going to be. It's going to be against the Eagles.
Oh wow! No, I didn't know that, but that's awesome.
It's because we play them week 3.
We'll get the dog them out in those red helmets. That's nice.
Yeah. I mean, Davis Mills, he had a high completion percentage, 66.8% last year, 88.8 rating, not terrible. Threw for over 2,600 yards. He had a 16-10 touchdown interception ratio, and he doesn't have a lot of weapons. I'm just saying, I don't know if the word good is the right statement here. He maybe, but he looked okay.
Yeah.
No weapons.
We'll see.
Moving on.
We'll see.
Yeah. Moving on to the rushing attack. This is interesting. Number 4. I'll be quick with it. The Texans. Again, you're going to find a trend with this division, people. The Texans are going to come in at number 4 a lot. Marlon Mack brought him in from Indy, where he was the 3rd guy last year. Okay. Rex Burkhead's still going to find his way in the rotation somehow, like he does every single season. So Marlon Mack, Rex Burkhead behind that offensive line with that offense, they're number 4. End of story. Getting to number 3. This duo would be a lot higher probably in other divisions, but when you get to probably the top 2, who are the top 2 running backs in the whole league right now, number 3 is the Jags with Travis Etienne and James Robinson. They're a very nice duo, dude. Like I really like James Robinson. And I don't think he got the ball enough on the goal line last year. Etienne was injured, but I think they're very complementary. James Robinson's kind of that bruiser, pound it up the middle, pound it in the gap kind of guy. Yeah. And Etienne is the smaller, quicker, shiftier, a little more of a pass catcher type of running back. I think they'll complement each other well if they're used correctly. They're number 3 by default because you're just not going to be better than the 1 and 2 option in this division. At number 2, it's interesting, man, because I think after last year, with how well Jonathan Taylor, ran the ball and went for over 2,000 yards and went for the 20 plus touchdowns altogether, you forget just how much of a monster Derrick Henry is. But at number 2, I'm still going to give the edge to Jonathan Taylor. Number 2, I have the Titans and Derrick Henry, although I think he's going to be used a lot more because, like I said, the subtraction of A.J. Brown, I think they're going to give the ball to him damn near 30 times a game, which you can only pray as a Titans fan that he stays healthy. So Derrick Henry, the second best running back in the league, is number 2. That's only because he's behind the number 1 running back in the league for my money right now in Jonathan Taylor. And don't forget, Nyheim Hines is a nice little change of pace running back behind him. And you even mentioned they brought in Philip Lindsay, who I don't know why he would sign there because, my man, you're not seeing the field. But Philip Lindsay's their number 3. So when you have Jonathan Taylor, for my money, it's either him or Henry going for the rushing champ again. I do think that Jonathan Taylor, he's younger, less miles on him. And I think the Colts finally found their identity last year. So it'll be Jonathan Taylor and then Matt Ryan's offense. So I got Colts 1, Titans 2, Jags 3, Texans 4.
Gotcha. Yeah, so I'll start mine. I mean, for Texans, not much of an explanation.
With it.
The top 3 teams, I would even say, starting at the Jags, have a clearly better running game, running attack than the Texans. Marlon Mack, all due respect, he's coming, last couple of seasons been injured. I believe he tore his Achilles the year before last. So, how much tread does he have, left to put on those tires? We'll see. Though I'm sure they'll run him into the ground. But Rex Burkhead, as you mentioned, he is that guy that always gets the work, no matter where he's at, right? Number 3, the Jags. I'm with you. Travis Etienne, James Robinson, great switch up. Just hope they can stay healthy. You have James Robinson. I think he's coming off the torn Achilles last season. And then, of course, you have Travis Etienne, who I believe tore his ACL last offseason.
I think
it was his ACL. I think so. One of them was ACL. So both of those guys coming back off injuries, they're good running backs. What do they have left in the tank after those significant injuries? We'll see. Guys are coming back better than ever. I mean, we saw Cam Akers in the playoffs come back from a torn Achilles, and this dude was looking like a monster. It was ridiculous to see somebody come back that fast. And I believe he came back same season, which was quite fast for an Achilles.
He did.
Number 2, I'm with you, man. And I got a question to you. I'll just go ahead and list mine off. I got the Titans number 2. Obviously, Derrick Henry, I agree with you. He's going to, get ran into the ground just like he always does, if not more this season. The Colts, Jonathan Taylor. Is this the changing of the guard? Is this us moving from Derrick Henry as the best running back in the NFL to Jonathan Taylor? Or is this just doubt from the way Derrick Henry was injured, ending the end of last season, and then coming into this season? Because he's still number 2, even coming off that injury. Right. Is it the changing of the guard? Do you think this continues regardless of Derrick Henry's health?
Yeah.
Or do you think it's just because of the injury?
Very lame answer, but I think it's a combination. I really don't see how a guy of Derrick Henry's figure can handle the rock 30 to 35 times throughout 17 games, and then, they're hoping to make the playoffs, and I just don't see how that's a recipe for success. And as you saw a couple years ago when he was the rushing champ 2-3 years ago, you can't win meaningful football games that way.
Right.
Yes, you have to be able to run the ball effectively. No, that does not mean your quarterback can throw the ball 14 times a game in this day and age in the NFL. So it's that. It's also a little bit of the change. Jonathan Taylor looked like on another planet last year, man. He seemed extremely durable. He's a lot younger, a lot less of that build, but he can still take on a lot of punishment. More elusive than Derrick Henry, so he's going to take less contact.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think what I saw from him last year was a freak of a dude who ultimately got shut down against the Jags in week 18, but I do think he's the better running back at this point, possibly.
Yeah, and I think you kind of answered his question there. Is JT, better than King Henry talent for talent, or is the Indy line better than the Titans? It's a fair question.
Talent for talent. Now, can I come back with like a question and answer for this and throw it to him and you? Is it talent for talent? And I know, he's that big for, so it helps the talent. But is it also just the fact that Derrick Henry is a dude we've never seen before?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Talent for talent. Is it Derrick Henry's as talented as Jonathan Taylor, or Derrick Henry's been so dominant for so long because he's literally the size of a guy we've never seen play the running back position, and takes 3 dudes to bring him down half the time. And he was just, his reign went on. King Henry's reign went on because he was that big. Now the injuries are starting to play. Like, if you take away that size, if they're the same person, same size, who's the more talented player? Jonathan Taylor, probably. Now, it's tough to say. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
How talented is Derrick Henry versus how strong and big is Derrick Henry?
That's fair. And I think, just to put it in perspective, I think it's fair when you're talking about 1 and 2, right? Like,
right.
When you're just talking about 1 and 2 and like what separates Jonathan Taylor from Derrick Henry right now with everything that's accumulated over the last few seasons. I mean, Jonathan Taylor just looks like an animal out there. Like, he just does some otherworldly stuff. You know what I mean? At the running back position, he's just an athletic freak, but he can also run you over. Like, he has the strength. He's just, I don't know.
He's in the end zone twice a week. He's almost in the end zone like twice a week.
Right. Whether it's catching the ball
there
or running it in. Because he's definitely a better pass catcher, right? And I think that was the knock on Jonathan Taylor coming out.
I think so. But Henry does catch the ball out of the backfield in slip screen situations.
Henry's a freak. I think this is just the conversation, right? Like, this is Derrick Henry versus Jonathan Taylor.
Right.
They're in the same goddamn division. And this is a hell of a conversation because I honestly think it's pick your poison. I think it's just going to be a preference thing at this point.
Yeah.
Obviously, we could see Derrick Henry come out and rush for 2,000 yards again this season.
I know.
You don't know, right? Like,
but he might have to carry the rock 400 freaking times to do it.
Yeah,
because they're going to force feed him, dude. They are going to force feed him.
It's interesting.
My question is, all that wear and tear, all that mileage,
when does it catch
that
up?
size of a man, it's going to start to catch up, especially when you think, where's everyone aiming for when they bring him down? When he's that large. Yeah. His legs can't take that beating week in and week out 35 times a game. It's just not going to happen for years on. And it's been happening. So we'll see.
Man. It'll be interesting.
We'll see. I'm going to try to speed the defensive side of the ball up.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I'm going to do this by combining the entire defense because I have the same rankings for pass rush and pass defense. And,
fair enough.
And rushing defense. So at number 4 in both categories, number 4 defense, I have the Houston Texans. Surprise, surprise, everybody. This team, I really like the Derek Stingley pick. Malik Collins, Steven Nelson was a nice number 2 for the Eagles last year. That's you're talking about. That's almost it, dude. They are going to get ran over defensively this year. And when you talk about that division, they're good. They might have the worst rushing defense in the league this year simply because they play those dudes 4 times.
Yeah.
They are going to average 180 plus yards against that defense this year. So at number 4, I have the Texans, just a total lack of talent. I really don't know what they're doing there. They've been bad for a very long time. It seems like even when Deshaun Watson was there, I mean, Jesus, I know the one year I think they went 10-6, but I remember the one year he was there, they went like 6-10. They've never put a roster, even when they had their franchise guy around him.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're doing defensively. At number 3, I do have the Jacksonville Jaguars. I like the Devin Lloyd addition. I like Darius Williams. I met Josh Allen. We all remember Josh Allen sacking Josh Allen last year. It was a huge story. Shaq Griffin. And so I don't like the Jags defense at all. I think they're much more fun offensively. But I think they're better than the Houston Texans. At number 2, this one's a little closer than I originally thought. But at number 2, I'm going to go with the Titans. I love Kevin Byard, Christian Fulton, Amani Hooker's nice. Caleb, like they're nice. Bud Dupree. You mentioned how they extended Harold Landry. Jeffrey said that they have a nice core defensively. They can get after the quarterback. They're good against the run, and they have a decent secondary. It's basically by default because when I get to this Colts defense and we can run down the names, the Colts defense was already top 10, very good defense before some of these additions. And you want to run down the line. Obviously, Kwity Paye they take last year. Showed flashes coming off the edge this past year. He's still there. DeForest Buckner up the middle is a monster. Yannick Ngakoue on the other end. I love that pickup. Darius Leonard might be the best linebacker in the game. He's one of the best linebackers in the game. And then you get to their secondary, Kenny Moore. And then you mentioned the additions. Rodney McLeod is a nice addition, especially for that veteran presence. But I don't think you mentioned the other one, which is Stephon Gilmore, who I haven't seen. He's probably still a top 5 corner in the league. No, arguably, maybe not top. I haven't seen. When he was in and out of last year. Right, and that's when he didn't want to play for. He wanted out of New England, so yeah, we'll see. But Stephon Gilmore is also a very nice pickup. He's got the upside of a top 5 corner. I don't know at this point of his career if he's still there, but I haven't seen enough to say he can't. So I love Indianapolis's defense. They're definitely a top 10 unit to me, if not higher. And I love Darius Leonard. So I got the Colts at number 1 in both categories.
I like it. So, yeah, as you were talking through there, I started wondering, is like Darius Leonard the best defensive player in this division? I mean, he's just so versatile. He does a lot of everything. And he's a game changer. He's like a ball hawk. So it's just a lot different for him. He just creates a turnover almost every game, whether it's a fumble or an interception. So as far as the bottom 2, I'm with you. I got Texans 4th in both. I got the Jags 3rd in both. Looking at the Texans, the one thing I do like about the Texans, obviously Derek Stingley Jr. We'll see how he pans out there. He was a high draft pick. I think he went 4th in this year's draft. So he should be a lockdown corner for where he was drafted. Aside from that, you bring in Steven Nelson. He played fair for us last year. Camus, Grugier Hill, they got him in the linebacking core. We had experience with it. Just nothing that blows you off the sheet here. So Texans at 4th. Jacksonville Jaguars, I'm with you. Not nearly as exciting on defense as they are on offense. I would say their linebacking unit is at least fun. Aside from that, nothing really there to call home about. When you get to the top 2, pass defense, rush defense, that's where it gets a little trickier for me. Mainly, I had the Colts first in pass defense at first. I'm kind of leaning Titans.
That's the only category I think the front 7. Even though I like Tennessee's front 7, I think the Colts blow a lot of teams out of the water in their front 7.
I feel that.
So I give them the edge there. But I might like Tennessee's secondary a little better.
I think that's fair. And I can see where you're coming from with that, because I guess, I love Harold Landry III, obviously the pass rusher. I mean, he's their best pass rusher, and he's just really good. Jeffrey Simmons strong up the Tyler Tart, Danico Autry. So I do like the Tennessee Titans front 7. I can't remember who I was watching them against. The Bengals, even though the Bengals beat them, I think they sacked Joe Burrow like 9 times in that game.
They did.
So they got a great pass rush, and they've just added to the secondary as well. And Christian Fulton's really come into his own. Kevin Byard, Monty Hooker. So I do have them number 1 in passing defense. I like their pass rush mixed with the DBs. Colts, not by much, right? Like the Colts have in their own right great pass rush, as you mentioned, right. And that's where the conversation comes into effect for me, is when you talk about DeForest Buckner, Kwity Paye, Yannick Ngakoue versus some of those pass rushers for Tennessee. But nonetheless, I got the Colts coming in 2nd in pass defense. In rush defense, the opposite. I have the Colts at number 1. I love their linebacking unit, obviously. I love what they have up front. The front 7, like you mentioned, clearly the best in the division. And I think they just continue on. They just added more to the defense this offseason, so they're only going to get better. The Titans, they're going to have a good rushing defense. They're never a team that's going to get ran over. I just don't think they're working with the firepower that the front 7 of the Colts is carrying. So that's kind of how we'll round out the defensive rankings there. So overall, I guess you would equal out the Colts and Titans for me. I get you. I would still lean Colts overall defense. Mm-hmm. as better than the Titans. But just the way these rankings played out, that's kind of how I have it.
Yeah, man. No, I'm with you. I combined them for time's sake a little bit,
Yeah.
but if I'm looking at it, the Texans are 4, Jags are 3.
Yeah,
I like the Colts overall defense better. I like the Colts pass rush and run stopping defense better.
Yeah.
But I do lean the Titans in the secondary a little bit. But overall, I like the Colts better. Getting to our rankings at the end of the year,
Yeah.
I think it's very simple. At number
Mhm.
4, you have the Houston Texans. They might win 3 or 4 games.
I had them at 3.
I think 4 is generous. Yeah, I would love to see what their over/under is. At number 3, I think 2 and 3. I won't disrespect them that much. 3 is the Jags. I think they're going to be a lot more fun offensively than they will be defensively. I think Doug Peterson can hopefully instill somewhat of a culture into that locker room, help develop Trevor Lawrence. They went out, gave Christian Kirk a bag. Hopefully their running backs can stay healthy this year. I think the Jags can probably win 6-ish games, maybe somewhere right around there.
I had them at 4 or 5, but I can see
All
it.
right. At number 2, I had the Tennessee Titans. I think the A.J. Brown loss is humongous, but they did a good job, covering the wound so far with bringing in Traylon Burks and Robert Woods, and Austin Hooper will help as well. I just don't trust Ryan Tannehill. And like I said, their defense isn't better than the number 1 team in this division, which is the Indianapolis Colts. Like we talked about, the major topic, trading away Carson Wentz, bringing in Matt Ryan. Everyone thinks it's a humongous upgrade. I don't. However, I think they're probably right around where they were last year. I think Indy will win 10-ish, 10. They're if maybe 11-6, but definitely 10-7. They'll win this division by probably 2 or so games. I think they're the best all-around team. So yeah, man, I got Colts, Titans, Jags, Texans. And Houston over under 4.5. There's no way they win 5 games, right?
Yeah, if you look at their schedule, man, it's kind of brutal, man.
Yeah, I would probably lean the under.
But I'm starting to realize as you look at these schedules in comparison to the team you're looking at them for, it looks brutal because of the team that you're looking at the schedule on. So, yeah, I capped them at 3 wins personally for the Texans, so I would go under. But you never know. The Texans and Jags could flip-flop. I have the Texans at 4. The same as you. Colts number. Can you hear me?
You're going in and out, but I can still hear you.
Okay, I was wondering because that Wi-Fi signal's showing up.
Yeah, no, I can hear you, but it's been stuttering a little bit.
Okay, I got you. Just let me know if you can't hear me.
Yeah,
Colts number 1, I have them around the same as you, 10 to 11 wins. Titans, I have them anywhere from 8 to 9 wins, somewhere around that area. I think they'll still be an average, above average type of team. They have a strong defense, so that'll keep them in games for the most part. They have Derrick Henry. They can run the football. So they'll be able to win some games like that. But it'll be interesting to see how their season plays out. If Ryan Tannehill struggles, if he comes out hot, with the fire under his ass, we'll see. But I still got the Titans at number 2 in this division. Colts take it. And to your point, Matt Ryan, once again, I don't know that he makes the Colts better, maybe better in moments, but the Titans got worse, and I think that gives the Colts the nod with Matt Ryan on top of that.
I agree, and I'm just extremely high on their defense as well. Like I do think the Colts are legitimately top 10 unit, if not higher than that. So
yeah,
I'm high there. I think Matt Ryan will come in, and you know what? He's got to feel a little rejuvenated right now. He's a career-long Falcon. Obviously, they're trending the wrong way. It's not time for him to be there anymore. They're going to go through a little bit of a rebuild. They're getting younger. He goes to a position where maybe he's going to compete to win his division, and then you win your division, you get a home playoff game. You're going to see Matt Ryan back in the playoffs. My problem is I hate their weapons. I hate outside of their running backs. I hate their weapons. Michael Pittman Jr. is not a number 1. Mo Alley Cox, who cares? Like they need help. It's something that I've hammered them for the last 3+ years. They haven't had anybody. Before that, T.Y. Hilton was your number 1. And when T.Y. Hilton was younger, all right, it was cool for a little bit, but he's never a true number 1 wide receiver. and you're repeating history at this point. You need to go out and try to find yourself another wide receiver that can come in and help this team. When you look across the board, what teams have done, DJ Chark going to the Lions, he'd be their best wide receiver. Yeah. Christian Kirk going to the Jags. I don't know if I'm going to disrespect Michael Pittman Jr. that much, but Christian Kirk is up there in comparison to Michael Pittman Jr. Maybe I'm just too low on him. I'm not a Michael Pittman guy at all. I think he'd be an okay number 2 on a winning team.
I like him as a number 2.
Right. So, yeah, man, that's where I'm at with this AFC South division. It's kind of boring to me. It might be – is it the most boring division in the league? I think it is.
I would say, yeah.
I think
we'll see. I mean, yeah, it has to be. I mean, even because I'm thinking like AFC East, you got the Patriots,
right? But you at least right. The Dolphins are going to be exciting. Josh Allen and the Bills.
NFC West, AFC West.
Zach Wilson's out here with his mom's friends, and like that's exciting news. Like
it is exciting though. I mean, you got Tyreek Hill in the AFC East as well now on the Dolphins. That division, this has got to be. I mean, it would be between this and I would say maybe the NFC North, but even the NFC North is still a little more.
That's a little. I was going to throw the South in for conversation, but you still got the GOAT and the Bucs.
I would
You'll
say
see what James and the Saints can do. Yeah, so this is probably the worst division in football, if I'm being honest. And they have the 2 best running backs in football, so riddle me that. But hey, man, let's get into somehow, some way we're over the hour mark. I don't know how we do this every time. I guess it's just too much fun talking football with you. But let's get into
this.
Yeah, let's get into our AFC South all division draft. Am I up for the first pick?
I believe you are. The astounding first pick.
All right, what lane am I in here? Okay, I'm going linebacker first, and I'm going Darius Leonard.
Ah, nice.
I think he's the best defensive player in this division, maybe by far. And when I look offensively, I just, we normally go quarterback, right? Because that's how people have gotten the leads in these drafts. I know Matt Ryan's the best quarterback. I don't know if it's like drastic where it's going to hurt me. So we'll see.
I think that's fair. All right, man. I'm sifting through these. Let me see what I want here. There's so many different because this division's like lacking talent. Let me see here. So you took Darius Leonard. And I agree with you. I think that's like by far the like most coveted player, maybe in the division, man. When you think about like what's left.
I know.
I'm gonna go DeForest Buckner.
Okay. D tackle.
Yeah.
All right. I like it. I like that one. Where do I want to go after that? I really do think I'm going to be starting heavy defense in this division. The question is how heavy.
I know, man, because you got secondary players out there too. Nice.
I know, but then my next question is like, who's the best? Like,
you got some good options.
Is Kevin Byard the best safety in this division?
Yeah, I think so, honestly. Personally.
This is hard. We're not breezing through this at all because this
right.
I guess, and I don't even like it as the second pick. I guess I'm gonna go Kevin Byard. Okay.
Okay, I'll go Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah, I know.
So I think George.
2 L's in that? No, one.
No, just one. Just one. I think if George is talking about Quentin Nelson, we don't do offensive linemen, but he would probably be. He would be up there. He might be number 1 pick.
Oh man. Dude, this is so tough.
It's hard because there's also not a ton of offense either.
Yeah, I know.
Like wide receivers are definitely the void here.
You're telling me. Who led the Titans in sacks last year? Harold Landry? No.
It was
Jeffrey Simmons?
It had to be Harold Landry.
Was it, or was it Jeffrey Simmons?
I can't confirm nor deny. I'm looking up for you really quick. I'm pretty sure it's Harold Landry the third, because he's a freaking monster.
12 sacks. He had to, yeah.
12 sacks.
That's where I'm going. He's in the linebacker for me, though. But all right, I'll go Harold Landry.
Yeah, so I mean, Jeffrey Simmons had 8.5, so still not bad.
Right.
Okay, so I got Buckner, I got Gilmore.
Scotty, this is the toughest draft we have. I mean that.
Yeah.
And not in a positive way.
There is like between the Titans and the Colts, there is a ton of defensive talent.
Yeah.
So it makes it like really hard for me. I'm trying to find like a good safety, to be honest. It's like Amani Hooker. Dude, I'm not gonna go him that early, right? That's not the move. What do I need? I need an edge. Let me get an edge guy. I'm gonna go Jeffrey Simmons. Take the other edge from the Titans.
All right. I was leaning there and do it, but I guess I'll go Yannick here. I hope he still has something left in the tank. NG, EK. It's embarrassing. OUE. He's the next best edge rusher in this division.
I'm thinking about going corner again. So I love Kenny Moore II from Indy, but I also love Christian Fulton. I'm going to go Christian Fulton. That way I don't have two Indy corners.
Okay. Oh, man, is it tough?
Because it's like the running backs. It's like, yeah, I would probably prefer to have Jonathan Taylor, but like
I want to go with Matt Ryan now. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Josh Allen.
He is a good edge rusher linebacker type. So I don't know, because I do need to go offense at some point. It's like, do I? You know what I mean? Like, do I?
We should have did this shit off air and released the teams, because this is the worst all division draft ever.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go Josh Allen at the linebacker spot.
All right.
Let's get somebody in there. I need another linebacker. I need a defensive tackle, a defensive end. Right. Need safeties too. Jesus.
I'll go Kenny Moore.
I like Kenny Moore a lot. I do need another defensive tackle. Which, I mean, like, good luck in this. All right, so safety. I'm gonna go with my guy, Rodney McLeod.
Yeah, I was looking at that before. Goddamn. I'm going to go with the upside. I'm going to go Kwity Paye.
Okay.
This is basically who can build the better defense.
Basically. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and take Jonathan Taylor.
All right.
Get some offensive stability in here.
Yeah, I like it. Where do I got to go? I got to go tackles, safety, and corner. I can wait on corner. Safety. I mean,
I need a linebacker.
I guess I'm going to go Amani Hooker. Yeah, go there.
So I got Josh Allen. I need like a real linebacker. I'm gonna go Bobby Okrike.
Yeah, you want to spell that?
Yeah, I got you. It's Okreke.
Gotcha. All right, sounds good. All right. Tackle. I need a tackle. Oh, I'll go Danico Autry.
Nice. So I will go. Well, I guess I don't need to go tackle since you're already filled. Oh no, you do need.
No, I need another tackle. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go Tierra Tart then. Just fill that up.
All right. Okay. Now things can start to get interesting here.
Yeah.
Who's the best wide receiver in the division? Is it Brandon Cooks? Is it Robert Woods? I mean, I'm not going to say it's Christian Kirk. Goddamn. You know what? This is an overplay, but I'm going to go Brandon Cooks.
Okay. It's crazy. I called him a wide receiver too, but I'm going to go Michael Pittman Jr.
I know, man.
I do like. I think I like him a little bit more than you do, but still, I do agree he's not a number one.
Yeah, I'm going Robert Woods.
Yeah, Robert Woods. Can you scroll down?
So you need an end and a safety.
So really, it doesn't really matter what we select here on
right.
It's not like we're taking
outside of tight end is where we both need
tight end. You know what? I'll go Evan Ingram.
Scotty's going for the dagger.
Evan Ingram. Which to some, I don't know. Some people, what do you think? Austin Hooper?
I know, man.
They're all kind of middle of the pack, I guess. Mo Alley Cox.
I guess Austin Hooper is where I'm going to go later, but I'm not going to do that yet.
Right.
Well, actually, it doesn't matter because, like you said, we all have that. So I'm going to look corner. They're gone. Christian Fulton. Dude, do I pull this out?
Who?
Do I go Steven Nelson or do I go with the upside of the rookie?
I personally would probably go Stingley Jr., man.
I know, dude. I'm going to do it just for fun. Like, we'll see, but he could be the best corner in this draft class, so we'll see. So, yeah, I'm going to go Derek Stingley.
I'm going to take my other safety. I'm going to go with Nick Cross from Indy.
Right. Okay. You know what? I'm just going to take Derrick Henry now. This is where it gets a little easy.
Yeah. And then I'll take, Ryan Tannehill or Trevor Lawrence. I'm going to go Trevor Lawrence, just talent based.
Yeah, man, that's the pick. That is the correct pick. Tight end, I guess I'm going to go Austin Hooper.
I need a wide receiver. So you got Woods and
Cooks.
Is it my pick? Or are you
Yeah,
sure?
Yeah, you're up.
I'm gonna go Christian Kirk.
Probably a smart choice. All right, what do I need? All I need is a tackle.
Yeah, tackle. And then
this will just be real. This will just be real easy. I mean, Grover Stewart. I don't know. Actually, nah. Not taking any Texans. Yeah, man. I mean, I'll go Grover Stewart. Who gives a shit?
I'm trying to find an edge now. Okay, and I think I found him. I'm going to go Jonathan Grenard. Had 8 sacks last year.
Grenard?
Yeah, just Green ARD.
All right, man. I mean, that is our all AFC South teams. My God, dude, that was difficult. I'm not going to lie to you.
It was difficult from a strategic standpoint because there's very much lack of offensive talent, but there's just enough for us to kind of split it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm going to go with there's a lack of talent.
We'll put those out. We should be able to get those out later today. We'll get a graphic out and let you guys vote on. Better. So just keep an eye out for that on the social media channels. We'll get it out on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, Facebook as well. So make sure you get on those social media platforms, vote. And of course, Dylan, do we have anything else? I know we went over the hour mark as always.
As always, brother.
But nonetheless, what do we got next week? Are we saving the East for last, or are we going to do West last? I know because the West, they have the best divisions, but
we'll go
our calling card. So
yeah, we'll wrap up with the NFC East. So that'll be our last weekend, which we'll do the AFC East the weekend before.
So NFC West or AFC West next weekend? Both exciting.
2 great options.
Let's go NFC West first.
Or
AFC
we can let
West, I think is more.
Or
exciting.
we can let the people vote throughout the week.
Let's do that. That's better. What are the people? AFC West or NFC West? Yeah. Let's do it that way.
That's what we'll do.
Awesome. Well, I think that is going to be it for this episode of Turf Talk. If you're not already, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, make sure you're subscribed to DSM Media on YouTube. Turn those notifications on. You'll be notified each and every time we go live on the channel. Of course, make sure you're following us on all social media platforms. As we mentioned, we're going to be putting some polls out, make things interesting this NFL season. Make sure you're following us at DSM_media on Twitter, at DSM Media on TikTok, at DSM.DoSomethingMajor on Instagram, and just search up DSM Media on Facebook. You'll see our logo. Make sure you follow us on Facebook. For myself, at Scotty Drowned across all social media platforms. For my co-host Dylan here, at DylanJD98. Make sure you give us a follow. Look forward to spending the rest of the NFL season as we get closer to the start.
I can't wait, man.
You and me both. I'm getting fired up.
I need it.
And next week, I believe, wide receiver rankings.
Yeah. We can do that.
We'll do skip a week, and then final rankings will be QB.
Right. And pretty soon, what do we got? Probably less than 10 days till camp starts.
Yeah.
9 days for some teams, probably. Yeah, man. So you're looking at a little over a week till training camp gets here. Once training camp gets here, time flies and preseason starts, and you're basically there. So I can't wait.
And we'll be, as we get closer to the football season, we'll be able to put out more content as well. So you'll probably, going 2 times a week here soon. But nonetheless, definitely enjoy the rest of your Sunday, guys. Can't wait for the NFL season to actually start, for it to be here. We'll be doing a lot of fun stuff for the season as well. Stay tuned. Have a great rest of your Sunday, everybody. Enjoy the weather. Peace. That is it for this episode of NFL Turf.